And we're back. This is the QB Lab podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and right beside me is my co-host, Zach. We are here to talk all things quarterback in the NFL. I mean, it is the greatest position in all of sports, and that's why we dedicate this entire show to that position. Now, we got a ton to talk about today, and we're going to talk NFL Divisional Round predictions, who we think's going to win, which quarterbacks we like, who we think's going to go off, who's going to struggle against defenses. We got a ton packed into this quick show for you all. And most importantly, before we get right into it, smash that subscribe button, hit that like button. We appreciate it. We see our subscribers growing. We gained a ton of subscribers in the last week, probably the most we've ever gained in a short period of time. So clearly you're all appreciating the content we're putting out. So we will continue to do so.
And on that, Jake, last week we were both individually 5 for 6. So we're not just shooting from the hip here. We're adding some value here. So I'm pretty confident in my takes this week. I've got a sense they're going to be a little bit different from Jake's. I think my takes might be better than Jake's. Let's see what happens. Let's have some fun. Let's get right into it. Let's make a competition out of it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So we got first game up Saturday, Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos. We got the 6th seed versus the number 1 seed. The Broncos are, of course, coming in after a bye week. They're well rested. They're going up against a Bills team who looked dominant against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game that I think most analysts had the Jaguars winning. Bills upset. Josh Allen looks fantastic in that game, looks like pretty much the most dominant player I think we've seen this year, continues his reign of terror on defenses. But I want to also just mention the Buffalo Bills are coming into this game very, very injured. They lost 2 receivers to torn ACLs. Of course, James Cook struggled against the Jaguars, so there's certainly a concern there that he could struggle against the Broncos. Now, they don't have quite as impressive of a run D compared to Jacksonville, but if I'm not mistaken, they're the number 2 defense against the run. The Jaguars were number 1, although where I think there's opportunity is in the pass game, because the Denver Broncos are a top 10 defense in pass, but that to me is not truly elite. I think there's opportunities there, and I think that that's where we're going to see Josh Allen dominating the Denver Broncos. I do see Josh Allen having another impressive performance against another good defense, but I do think overall we're going to see Josh Allen dominate the Broncos this weekend.
Okay, so it sounds like we're both taking Bills. Last week, my take was that Jacksonville was the better team and they would have won in a best of 7 series. But we're talking about one game. We're talking about the NFL playoffs, the best playoffs in the world, baby. And when it's one game, I'm taking Josh Allen over this Denver Broncos defense. The key stats here: Josh Allen is a rare quarterback whose EPA per play is higher in blitz than against no pressure. So what that means is Denver heavy blitz team because they're trying to get the ball out as early as possible, force interceptions. When there's a blitz and when there's actual chaos happening, Josh Allen's abilities get sharper. Chaos tells him exactly where to go quickly, and he's a better quarterback against the blitz than against no pressure. So Denver, if you're saying, hey, okay, I'm not going to blitz, I'm going to do no pressure, you're also kind of screwed because their defense is way worse after 3.5 seconds. Their defense entirely breaks down after that mark. So this is a situation where Denver's defense has to save them. And unfortunately, they're against the one quarterback in the NFL that feels built to win this game.
Yeah, it's a great point under pressure with Josh Allen and how he handles that, because a perfect example, look at what happened last week. Arguably the best play of that game from both sides was when Josh Allen had a guy right in his face on a blitz through the A gap, clear ability to sack, and Josh Allen goes for like a 30 or 40-yard play to Brandon Cooks and made it look quite easy. So it's a perfect example that if you blitz Josh Allen, he actually performs better. And if you don't blitz him and you give him time, he's also going to torch you, or more importantly, he might actually be able to run on you as well if you do that.
Can I give you a crazy tangent?
Go ahead.
Okay. I think, okay, so last offseason, there was all this commentary about banning the tush push. I actually think that if the Buffalo Bills did a super tush push every play, that they would average more than 2.5 yards per carry. I think that if you set this up, that you got the offensive line in a stack, you put Reggie Gilliam on one side pushing, you put Jackson Hawes on the other side pushing, and you put James Cook in the back in case there's room left to spare for additional pushing. I think you're getting at least 3 yards per carry. I think you can run that consistently 4 downs per situation until you get yourself into the end zone. I think that if they were ballsy like that, they could be the reason why there's a rules change this offseason.
Unbelievable. It's crazy because the Buffalo Bills were one of the teams saying that the tush push should be banned. But now, looking at the success that they have with Josh Allen at the helm, it's hard to argue that that couldn't work. I think it's a very, very difficult play to stop, as we just saw the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have the best run D in the NFL, and they couldn't stop it. So,
How many
certainly,
quarterbacks have you
opportunity
seen
there.
over the course of the season get more than 5 yards in a tush push? Josh Allen's done it multiple times.
He's the
If they
only one.
actually decided to break football, I think they could.
On to the next game. We got the Niners against the Seahawks. And man, this is a really interesting one because I have some mixed emotions about it. I think overall it's going to be very difficult for the Niners to overcome a Seahawks team is not only as complete as they are, but as well rested and prepared as they are. I just don't see the 49ers winning this one. I would go with the Seahawks. And more specifically, I do finally think we're going to see Brock Purdy fall and fall from grace. I think we're going to see him struggle against the Seahawks defense, mainly because this is a really tough defense, a very complete defense, and I think we're going to see him struggle mightily. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are going to win this game because of Sam Darnold. Like, I want to be clear. I still think Sam Darnold is a pretender, but I think the Seahawks are a contender. And because of that, I think they're going to win this game. But Sam Darnold is not going to look particularly good in this game either. And he is not going to be the reason the Seahawks trump over the 49ers.
Yeah, I think I kind of have the same sense. I don't know if you are on the same wavelength here. The Seahawks are going to win this game, but I'm going to be rooting for the Niners just out of that's kind of where my heart is because I love how Shanahan, Purdy, and McCaffrey play the game. And my brain wants me to fall in love with the fact that we got Trent Williams this time to be able to try to make things stronger. But the reality is this: the Philadelphia Eagles should have beaten the 49ers and could have if AJ Brown made a couple standard catches. And here's the thing: Jackson Smith and Jigba is on another planet compared to AJ Brown this season. And Sam Darnold just has to get it in the vicinity and pick apart this injured San Francisco 49ers defense. I don't like it, and I don't have anything against the Seahawks. My heart loves how the 49ers play football. Seahawks are just a much more boring team to me, but I can appreciate how elite that defense is. I like seeing a youngster like JSN cementing his legacy. I think the Seahawks win this game, but my heart is going to be rooting for the 49ers.
So the first game that I'm going to be going with a team that I think no one believes in because, our first two games were both going Bills. Obviously, a lot of people, Bills have a good shot at this. They're actually currently considered the favorite. You got the
Well, I got them as a
Seahawks.
1 point underdog. I checked like an hour ago.
So as far as I'm seeing now, is there a 1.5 point favorite from what
Okay,
I'm
so that
seeing on this
means
side?
that
So
people have
there's a
heard
shift
us
going
speak.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people heard us speak, and we
Yeah. And they
shifted
changed their
the
mind.
market in real time.
So we got the Seahawks, obviously they're the favorite in that game. Yeah, I'm on the 100% same page as you as I love an underdog story. I love what we've seen from the Niners. And now another underdog story. I love the underdog story in the Houston Texans. I don't think they have any quarterback play. I don't think CJ Stroud has any business playing in the playoffs right now. But I'm telling you right now, Drake May is not going to be able to handle the Houston Texans defense. He is going to struggle. I think we're finally going to see it. We have seen elite quarterbacks throughout the season this year struggle against the Houston Texans defense. I think that they're special. You talked about this before the playoffs, that they were that other contender outside of the quarterback position. I think this Houston Texans defense can carry them to the next round. And it's
Okay,
going
let
to
me
be against the
clarify.
Patriots.
Let me clarify. The contender I had in order was Allen, Mahomes. Third was Drake May. Fourth was the Houston Texans defense.
That's
So
close
even
enough. That makes it interesting.
it makes it interesting. But my point is, sure, I had them as a contender, but I did not have them as a contender higher than I had Drake May. Look, I think it's as simple as this. We saw CJ Stroud incapable of hutting the ball on Monday Night Football. You have high school, college quarterbacks that were hutting the ball better than CJ Stroud last night. And if the Houston Texans defense wasn't as elite as it was, like, did the defense get more points than the offense yesterday? Like, it was at a situation where, look, you can't rely on CJ Stroud. And that was against a Steelers defense, which is worse than how the Patriots defense played against the Chargers. Get this, the Houston Texans defense gave more points to the Pittsburgh Steelers than the New England defense gave to the LA Chargers. And you had Justin Herbert, that quarterback, on your contender list a couple weeks ago. So this is the type of thing where I don't think CJ Stroud stands a living chance against what looks like the best coach team in the playoffs so far. And the other piece is, sure, Drake May is going to have a tough time against this Houston defense. I still stand behind the fact that that Houston defense is ridiculous. And like, I'm absolutely in awe of all three levels of that defense. But Drake May is going to do just enough to get past the fact that the Houston Texans are not going to be able to put up points.
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, it's a very interesting matchup. I think it's a question of, do the New England Patriots continue this, what I would call kind of a Cinderella story? I don't think anyone really thought they were going to be leading the division, winning the AFC East. I
Okay,
don't think
I'm
people
tired of
thought
that. Hold on. I've seen that narrative all over the place and it's driving me nuts.
it's
That
true.
like no, but hold on. I can't for the life of me accept that the team that had oh, we couldn't win the division for 5 years. Boo-hoo us. No. You're not this tortured Cinderella story. You're the New York Yankees of the NFL, and nobody should be buying into this underdog crap with the New England Patriots.
Now, having said that, it's still a Cinderella story. At the end of the day,
No, you're buying into the marketing, Jake. I'm not standing for it. I'm not standing for it.
fine, I'll say this. Houston Texans Cinderella story
It's
of
a
their
Cinderella story.
defense carrying them the entire season. And look, let's not forget the Texans started 0-3 this season. Like, no one thought, I mean, I think a lot of people thought CJ Stroud was going to be better, and he turned out to be awful this year. But their defense is truly elite. And I'll say it again, it will be enough. It's going to be enough. And then that means AFC Championship, Buffalo against the Texans.
No, it's going to be Buffalo against the Patriots. And I'll go one step further. Whoever wins the AFC, if it's Buffalo against the Patriots, it's not going to be Buffalo against the Texans. But if it's Buffalo against the Patriots, I think whoever wins that game wins the Super Bowl.
Wow. Okay. That's bold. I think that's bold because the NFC's good. Like I like look, we got another game here with the NFC to talk about, which I think has the team that's going to the Super Bowl. It's the
I agree.
LA Rams. The Rams
I
are gonna
agree.
beat the Bears, and they're gonna beat down on them. I really love the story in Chicago, but honestly, I just know Stafford once again is gonna prove that he deserves to be the MVP this year. Now, I wanna be clear about something. Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL this season. He is the best quarterback. He is the best player. but he's not winning MVP this year. He probably actually should, but he's not going to. But Matt
So
Stafford is going to prove in this game against the Bears that he belongs as the NFL MVP. It's going to be very clear. He's going to have a great game against the Bears, and they're going to move on, and then they're going to go straight to the Super Bowl.
yeah, so I agree with the take that Josh Allen is better than Matthew Stafford, and Matthew Stafford has played better than Josh Allen this season. He leads the league in yards. He leads the league in touchdowns by quite a large margin. Stafford deserves the MVP, and he deserves it over Drake May. But the Rams, I do think they beat the Bears, but I don't think it's like the type of prediction where I'm jumping on my chair ecstatic that this is the I'm very concerned about what I saw from the Rams against the Panthers. Like this is a game that should have been a more than two possession victory for the Rams because we know the Panthers are garbage. I'm willing to go on the record saying Panthers are a garbage team. But the Rams are turning the ball over in ways that make you worried because it's not like these are pressure based turnovers. These are discipline based turnovers. And the LA Rams, we tout them for having great quarterback play, for having a great defensive play. But we're also usually saying McVay is an elite coach that gets his players in shape. But what we've seen all throughout the tail end of this season is a bunch of discipline based turnovers that make it hard for me to love picking the Rams over the Bears. And especially because we know the Bears force a lot of turnovers. Now, I think the offense is way more stable than Caleb Williams' offense. I think the defense is better than the Chicago Bears defense. They're going to the Windy City, so we know that kicking is going to be a nightmare. It's an environment that breeds chaos. And in a discipline based turnover situation where the LA Rams just have to get their stuff together, I think their ceiling is way higher. But I think this is going to be a chaotic game. And I don't know if it's a full, like, surefire situation.
I'll tell you something. I like that you bring up the struggles that the Rams had against the Panthers, but I actually think that's going to prepare them more. I think that they came into that game way too confident. No one took the Panthers seriously, and the Panthers gave them a run for their money. But at the end of the day, they pulled out the win and showed that they could handle the adversity. And to me, they're actually going to be more equipped this time. They're going up against a much better Chicago team than the Panthers. They're going to take it much more seriously. They're going to be way more prepared. I actually think the Rams are going to look significantly better this week against a way better team than what we saw against the Panthers last week. I think they're going to come in and they're going to be firing on all cylinders.
The thing I want to remind people too about why I like the Rams over the Bears, because I feel like I'm potentially raising alarm flags. I'm not necessarily as concerned as the initial take probably would lead you to believe. In the game where Jordan Love got out to an early lead because of how well LaFleur coached the game, I'm not giving Love any of that credit. I think that's all LaFleur, by the way. He was picking apart Gordon in the secondary, who was a liability on defense. And that's with Packers receivers who are not as elite as Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams. All the Rams have to do is put one of their two deadly weapons against Gordon, and boom, easy 20-yard plays. So this is the type of thing where we know the Bears have a liability. We know we've got the MVP at quarterback, and we know that we've got these superior weapons. They just have to execute. And so long as McVay can whip his boys into shape, this should be a smooth victory for the LA Rams. I'm just thinking, based on what we've seen so far, that nothing is smooth in the NFL this season, and there's going to be a lot more drama than what we're expecting.
Now, before we close out, I have one last comment to make because I have to talk about Bo Nix. The guy has not been consistent all season. I have not seen big signature moments from him to prove to me that he really truly belongs as a top seed in the NFL playoffs and that he's somehow going to walk all over the Buffalo Bills. I think it's going to become very clear, just like we saw Bo Nix last season against the Bills in the playoffs. I think Bo Nix is not the guy. I think it's going to be really clear. And I think that when we look at the offseason, I think the Broncos fans are going to be begging for some changes, which is I think, shocking to people because they came in first place, which is all great and fine and dandy. But if you get knocked out in the first game and you fail to win again, and Bo Nix struggles mightily against the Bills, I do think there's going to be calls to say, hey, we got to start revamping. We got to reevaluate Bo Nix. I just don't think he's the guy.
Yeah, I think overall, Bo Nix has been protected. He's been protected by great coaching. He's been protected by game script. He's been protected by field position in a lot of games. He's been protected by an elite defense that's playing behind him. I don't think he's the guy that's proven he can win late. And the Buffalo Bills are comfortable letting the outcome of the games come to the fourth quarter and seeing where the chips fall. Josh Allen is the kind of guy that takes his opponents into deep water and makes his opponents reveal themselves. And I think what Bo Nix will reveal is he's just not prepared for this matchup.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, there you have it. Those are our predictions. Those are our takes on the quarterbacks for this upcoming weekend. Appreciate it. Again, as always, hit subscribe, hit like. We appreciate the support. Keep commenting on our stuff, keep liking our stuff. We respond to almost everything. So hit us up, challenge us. We love it.